Mm.
All right. Welcome to Being Heard with Tom Graham. And I am committed that every voice is heard, including my own. And I'm here today with Kyrie Onelove. Thank you for being here, Kyrie.
Thank you so much, Tom. And I love what you just shared. Beautiful.
Thank you.
So happy to be here. Hmm
Awesome. All right. Kyrie, again, thanks so much for being here. Um, as we talk through with my 7P's, the first one is passion. And my question for you is, how do you take actions to increase your passion?
That's a great question. How do I take actions to increase my passion?
Yeah.
What's first showing up right away is play,
Mm-hmm.
discovery, sensuality even showed up right away.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Something I'm learning recently is about how pleasure, which can mean so many things, can increase our passion, and I don't mean even that just in a sexual, sensual way, although that's fantastic too, and that showed up like taking time to be tactile with oneself and come into our bodies, come into my body, um, release and yeah, so there's that aspect that like that can energize, right? And create passion and action inside of taking that time for self-care,
Mm-hmm.
which can include pleasure of various forms and breath as pleasure and also what showed up is yeah, like doing things that delight us that spark us, right? That spark me. And, for me, that's a lot of times music and laughter and something, some type of curious exploration. And that really, yeah, that sparks my passion. So yeah, taking yeah, action. So bringing in, so it could be like drumming, hitting a djembe
Yeah.
and something that lights me up, right? That that increases my action and passion and going to the studio and singing. That certainly that lights me up right away. Mm.
Awesome. Really great. Second one, if you're ready for it.
Okay.
Perseverance. The word is perseverance. I gotta get this paper out of the way. It's making noise.
Mhm.
Perseverance.
Drinkies.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So what perseverance is like pushing through? Like, what is worth so much that you would push through anything to have? So like you would persevere.
Mm. Mm. What is worth so much that I'd push through anything to have?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what shows up where I do this in my life is relationship, loving relationship. It's like it brings up everything, you know. I literally like it's the well, now that to be totally honest, now that I'm in a relationship where I'm not like using all kinds of unhealthy coping patterns which I had in the past, um, you know, various things. Um, But like now that, I'm feeling most of it, it's like it's this ground for bringing up so much childhood wounds and like, tough, like, yeah, it just brings up so much to be healed to the surface. And it ain't easy sometimes. It definitely ain't, well, Easy. I don't know if we can curse on this podcast. I don't know. I don't know what's allowed here, but it ain't fun easy sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And nonetheless, I persevere and I push through, and I sometimes it's not even a pushing, it's like a different kind of perseverance, and it actually has paid off in a lot of ways of like, really like a strength developing, and you know, um wow, yeah, just like so many ways in which I see myself and feel myself strengthening, and so yeah, unconditional love is worth persevering for, and it's like a little buggy on my screen. Request the hook. A little prompt came up for me. I think guess will the host enable live transcription? No, I don't. Actually, do you want a live transcription for the
Wasn't
meeting?
planning on it.
Okay, all right. It came up on my screen. Okay. Okay. So coming back. So yeah. Hmm. It's such a beautiful question, and family, that's another big one.
Hmm.
It's where, yeah, the things that that fill the heart. Family, friends, relationship, yeah, unconditional love, and all those various forms. It's like, okay, no matter what difficulties come up, we're gonna see this thing through, and we're gonna be there forever. And yeah, that's largely what I persevere the most for.
Nice. Thank you.
Mm,
Thank you so much.
mm,
The next word is perspective.
mm,
And my question is, would shifting your perspective bring you more joy
mm.
or change
Oh
your
yeah.
level of let, let me say it differently. Would shifting, let me say it the way it's written. Would
Mm-hmm.
shifting your perspective change your level of joy in the moment?
Mm, most definitely. Yeah. Right away that showed up in a few ways. And one is like, even just for instance, in this moment, like feeling into my body and my feet and my energy as we're sitting here being together, like taking a moment to breathe in that we're alive and we're here, and we get to breathe and sit and chat and laugh and discover together. And there's no necessarily right or wrong way to do this, and just being here in each other's presence and feeling into the beauty of that is a beautiful reminder, and yeah, beautiful, delightful, pleasurable perspective. And one other thing showed up too, but I wanted to just take a moment to breathe into that.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. And seeing the lights behind you and the light that you are shining there. Appreciating you, Tom. Appreciating you, dear friend and future announcer, or current podcast creator. And you could be like Richard Attenborough, or uh, what's the word? Tom Graham, and interviewing the most fascinating people on the planet and bringing deep joy and conversation and being. And yeah, let's take a second to breathe, and then hmm, and then I'll share with you the other piece
Yeah.
that came up, which is like kind of, it's a extra piece about it's a furthering of what I shared in the last question, but it's like shifting the perspective of that. And that's really showed up in the last week, which was like realizing I'm not alone in like, you know, that like, I don't want to say all humans, but I feel like many of us have despair show up. And some other ladies shared about that recently in a dancing, writing class that I'm in. And, just like, yeah, seeing that that's not like a solo or a sole one person experience. It might be a solo sometimes experience, or, as we're all with ourselves and sometimes probably feel alone. I'm guessing many of us, I know I do sometimes. And sometimes I'm like, why does relationship bring up these things? Like, why does life bring up these things and these, things that seem painful? And, even like sometimes I'm like, oh, is this a sick joke that like, my childhood, that like the painful things from my childhood are showing up in my adult life? It's like, why? And then if I shift the perspective and see, okay, no, it's actually a love gift from the universe. And a little truth bump here to see, to invite us to love those parts of ourselves more tenderly, and to see those tender, precious aspects of ourselves that maybe weren't seen, or maybe felt alone or sad as a kid or whatever it was. And then bringing that into awareness now and being able to nurture that part. And yeah, and hopefully have it even nurtured by our partner or a friend or a parent, or even like rewriting things. I did that yesterday actually. There was a it was like it showed up, it seemed like an adult circumstance. It seemed like it was, my relationship triggering like this thing, activating this thing, when then I realized it felt exactly like I felt when I was a 9-year old crying in my room alone when my stepmom came into my life, and my dad and her didn't really know how to deal with me, like just like crying out for love and probably sometimes screaming for it. I wanted it so bad. I didn't know how to adjust to I had lived with my dad and my brother. Just, I was the only girl for many years, and there's this new lady, and like, this the childhood territory and daddy's love and all that. And, so I didn't at the time know how to fully express how to get that love. Tenderly. And probably by the way I expressed it pushed people further away. And I had and they obviously didn't fully know how to reassure me yet at the time. And that little girl needed that reassurance, and that's okay, like she did. And it's sad she didn't get that at that time. However, like now I get the chance to, instead of looking at it, I was like, why is this coming up? Or like, no, painful. But like, okay, this is the chance for me to, and though it can be painful, this is the chance to nurture her and ask. Actually, my partner did come and do that for me yesterday, which was really beautiful. He was available at the time emotionally, and schedule, or he actually
Mm-hmm.
put something aside. And it was a beautiful, yeah, like rewiring of that moment for that little kid and my adult self. And yeah, really really healing. Thank you for that
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. Thank you for your insight on perspective.
Mm, mm,
Yeah.
yes.
Just taking a breath with it. It's like,
Yeah, let's do it. Let's take a breath with it. Let's simmer in it.
so now it's priorities.
Mm,
Priorities is the next question.
mm.
Are your priorities set up for creating success in creating more joys?
Ooh, that's a great question. Let's see here. We're gonna bring joy in. We'll bring some joy wings in. Let's see. I'm gonna say that one more time. Or are my priorities set up? Can you ask that question one more time?
Are your priorities setting you up for success in creating more joy?
Mm.
And I guess the cadence was different
Oh,
than the first time.
but I love that. Thank you for. I loved it both times, and I did hear it a little different the second time in a really beautiful way. I love that. So, mm, right away, I love that the success is tied to creating more joy.
Yeah.
That's the first piece that I love. That's really beautiful. Boom. That's like, I feel like that should be like put into the education, like now, like from babyhood up. Like, ah, what if joy was a piece? Like, what if it was like a big part of the homework? Right? Ah, wow. And that kind of leads to the answer, the question and the answer, which is like, sometimes it's not fully set up that way because I think we're not often taught that that's like the priority, that that is the measure of success and um, taught like so many other ways of, what success is and that probably don't create joy, or at least certainly not true deep down joy. And yeah, that's such a beautiful question and so perfect for my life right now, because I'm on the precipice. There's another P. There's another P for you. Precipice. Pre Precipice. Precipice. But that was cute. As I would get a little dirty there for a second. Precipice, and then your priorities will be set up for joy. Just kidding. Kidding, but not kidding. It's not the only way to joy. It's one way to joy. Just one. It could have many forms. This is gonna get funny, right? This is getting funny. Oh, Lordy, Lordy. And that's another
Awesome.
one too, is laughter, you know?
Yeah.
Laughter is that's one of the biggest forms of joy, I think, is really, yeah, letting ourselves fall into that space of giggles and like I love that big belly laughter where it's almost like uncontrollable for a while and like, just like where it's like around in the room where like everyone's like laughing and like nonstop and yeah, just bringing it back to the original question. Are my priorities set up to create that? And they're
Yeah.
starting to, and I want to invite even more. Yeah, I really do, especially more time for stillness joy, or like slowing down and like stretching and like, yeah, like feeling into the body and being
Shavasana and yoga.
there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Shavasana, yoga nidra, dancey dancey, singy singy. Yeah, and then carving out time for that. And yeah, I love that. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks for your answer.
Mm-hmm.
And the next question is purpose, or rather, the next P is purpose. And my question is your ladder up against the right wall?
Is my ladder up again? That's going to take me a second.
Yeah. Think about it for a minute. Breathe into it.
Thank you for that.
Hmm.
Wow. Hmm. That's some things opening as I breathe into that. And
And then the follow-up question is, what are
mhm.
you building with that?
Mm. Thank you. And I'm gonna start with the first, and one rung of the ladder at a time. I'm gonna start with the first one. Is
Yep.
my ladder up against the right wall, and a few things show up, but the first thing that showed up was like, well, slowing down and taking the time to aim the ladder and yeah, really, really taking time actually. This is surprising me that this is showing up, but actually it makes a lot of sense. Um, really taking the time to slow down, be in the body, meditate, a little more of the last piece I shared, and the reason why that's kind of surprising me. No, actually, I won't go into why it's surprising me. I'll say actually why it makes sense, which is part of my work is teaching yoga and like embodied practices, like bringing in dance, like motions, creativity, expression into into life, basically using the voice. Um, and so, and actually, I'm in the midst of developing like what my future offering is going to be, and it's been shifting and changing. And um, I've done sound healings and
Hmm.
performances and singing and um, regular-ish yoga classes. I've actually incorporated singing and yoga as well. Um, but it feels like, yeah, there are some new pieces coming through and like variations on how things are going to show up. Um, I think there's going to be more of a somatic piece and not just like typical yoga at all, like, but
Mm.
very unique to me. And let's say that, like, it just like the word softness and the feeling softness keeps coming to me, which is very interesting. It's like, I think we have this idea sometimes about like what we're supposed to do or like where our dharma or our purpose is. And like, I think a lot of those are pretty accurate, what's been showing up over the years. And, which I could go into a little bit of, you know, singing and, um, well, desires to, eventually create a world where everyone has plenty, not thirsty, not hungry, etc. And ways to how will I inspire along the way to like create a consciousness where we all care about that as humans and have desires to shift education and from like the ground up instead of having us like fill in the little circle and do it right to like celebrate each child, each person, from the bottom up in their essence and their uniqueness and letting that flower rather than like crunching it down and like trying to make it fit in and do the right thing and the right thing and the fear-based stuff and without getting too much more wordy there coming back to like yeah but actually it ties in. I realize what was showing up newly because if we're slowing down and tuning into our hearts and our bodies and our spirits and our essence and allowing that to like bubble up in a really beautiful way instead of what I feel is the normal what's kind of taught or ingrained in us, which is like all right, like try really hard, like work really hard so that we can then get the great this so that we can then get to the blah blah, like always like future and kind of like a lot of fear too. brought in then like, and what if, okay, like what if that ladder, right? What if all of our ladders, right? What if my ladder, what if our ladders were set up in this beautiful way that I was almost like picturing like a column of light, like rising up of like from our feet, our root, our being, our life journey. That's like this unique path of discovering our unique energy, our unique gifts, and yeah, and like relaxing more into that on a regular basis, and like how, and it's so interesting. I can literally, as I hear myself saying it, I can feel the conditioning in my mind that's like, well, like blah blah woo woo relax, that's like, no, you gotta like have, and yeah, sure, like there is that like, and that's so interesting that you coughed at that moment too. That's like a throat chakra Vishuddha and a clearing sign. And yeah, because I'm
Speak your
kind of like,
truth.
uh-huh, uh-huh. And like I'm moving over a precipice or whatever you call it. What's like the almost like that block of like of societal programming and judgment of like, you know, like what makes sense or what is not woo woo or like blah blah and like, but no, like that's, I feel like it's actually so potent and important. And there's like this beautiful energy in my body as I'm saying this, that like we each tune into that, and that like that be, so I can see that that's part of my ladder or my purpose is like to allow myself first to like tune into that, to feel into that, and let that ignite in others around me as I allow myself to let go of all that conditioning of like what to do and where to go and how to be and what's my purpose, and like, it's like it makes me think of when I'm like singing in a really like hard kind of like efforting way, and it's like, no, like you were born to sing freedom and like, right, not to like try to have success and like, like sing it the right way and like, so like that's where I'm like, okay, I'll check myself, I'll check my ladder, my purpose, my, where am I putting my energy each
What I'm,
day.
let me
And
see if I got what I'm hearing right.
uh,
I'm hearing being authentic to yourself.
mm, 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 mm,
Your true authentic self. It's like
mm.
resonating, harmonizing with that.
It's so beautifully said, and inside of that it's like all the answers here. It's like the path, the purpose, all of that, the my album and how I'll even finish recording it. Like inside of that, tuning into that authentic self, letting my self harmonize literally,
Mm-hmm.
figuratively with myself, and how that shifts where the ladder feels it's sparkling up to. Hmm. Thank you, Tom.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff like it's like sparkling in my mind. Like all this different awareness is like showing up inside of these questions and inside of what you just shared. Thank you.
Yeah. And interestingly enough, the next word is patience.
Mm. Mm.
I just got the truth bumps with that one.
Ooh, I got the patience card the other day in the fairy deck.
So
Mm.
here's my question.
Mm-hmm.
Are there areas where you don't have patience?
Mm. Mm.
Look for a pattern.
Mm. There's definitely areas where I don't have patience. I'm looking.
Yeah.
where. Oh, but there's definitely areas. Hmm. One of the things that immediately shows up a pattern, and that is actually one of my biggest life patterns. Maybe that's why it's so important for me to slow down, and maybe that's why that's part of my purpose, because I've been going pretty fast in a lot of ways and moments of my life. And my dad, you know, validated several times recently that that I picked that up from him, like that speaking of patterns, right? Like that energy of like, hurry up, next thing, which is very like societal too, or like, he's a New Yorker. He was born in New York, like my partner and I talked about that the other day. It's like, people born in New York, is that energy going to be like with them, like no matter where they go, like, like that quickening or that, and I loved your expression there, Tom. And it's you're like a kid, like, right? Like and yeah, so it's interesting to like to see where that shows up of that there's so many times in my life I'm hurrying and I'm always like trying to catch up, and like I think my natural pace is actually a lot slower. And where have I allowed like conditioning or nurture or school or I don't know, societal expectation to be on time? That, I mean, it is important. Yes, apparently in Mexico, it's a totally different thing. Like people can show up like a day later and that's normal. I don't know if that's true, but someone told me that. But but for real, yeah, that's there are places I don't have patience, and
So what is
and
it
I'm
you don't
bringing
have
more of
patience
that.
in?
What is it I don't have patience in? So basically, in that basic pattern of like, so for instance, well, it could be sometimes in relationship, um, in certain patterns that are tiresome or painful, and it could also be in, yeah, in like that societal conditioning of like, all right, got to be doing something useful. Like this has got to yield a result. This is like, got to be fruitful, even if it's like, I can see even if like I don't know, like make a mistake or something, like I want it to be worth it, or like something that's like, or, yeah, I'll be sometimes like on the phone and yeah, and I'll just be like, all right, like it's same thing like my dad, like hurry up, like gotta go, got other thing, like another thing I have to do, and yeah, it's I don't like that feeling. It's I want to have more relaxing right into what is and right into the moment, and
Yeah,
there's probably other things too that I don't have
so
patience for, but I can't remember them right
that's
now.
okay. It's okay. It's just a place
I
to
don't know.
look.
Yeah.
So the next word is prayer.
Mm,
And I've got a question, and it's a little bit of a leading question. And so it's like, do you use prayer to recognize what you're proud of, what you're grateful for, what
mm,
you desire, and what you love about yourself?
mm. That's such a beautiful question. What a gorgeous question. Hmm.
And prayer can come
Yes,
in many ways.
sometimes. Yeah, please.
So I see prayer as coming through song.
Mm, mm.
I see prayer as the silent petition. I see prayer as my request. And that's me. And I didn't mean to load your space.
No, not at all. I love that. There was one or two that I didn't hear, but the first one that stuck out right away was song. And yeah, oh, it's like, thank you for that reminder because, yeah, in fact, just was it yesterday or the day before, I was singing a prayer at that I was making up on the spot. Um, actually for the world of what I like, what I mentioned before of like no one being hungry or thirsty and a world thriving. And I was singing that at an event I was at the other day, or performing for. And so yeah, I do. And there was although at first some no's showed up in all the pieces you mentioned, then I realized, yes, sometimes there's a yes for all of them. You said for prayer for discovering what you love about yourself. I'd love to hear it again. It was so beautiful.
What are you proud of,
Mm-hmm.
grateful for,
Mm,
desire,
mm,
and love about yourself?
hmm. Yeah, yeah. So not that often, but yeah, there's many, actually there's quite a few moments, yeah, when I'll just kind of like praise like I'll be like, wow, like the beauty of the sky or like the beauty around me. And or there's times when I'll, yeah, like acknowledge myself or thank myself, and I'll thank, the light beings or the angels or whoever's, our spiritual team supporting us. Um and then I'll thank myself too, and which is like a good reminder sometimes. So I love that you added that. That's such a beautiful question about incorporating that into the prayer. And yeah, that's really, really beautiful. And my name, actually, of all things, my name means God. It means Lord, Kyrie. Um, and it's interesting because I've had such an interesting like relationship with the divine or God in my life that's shifted. Like I didn't used to believe in it at all when I was little. And
Mm-hmm.
um, I don't know, this might be like a little off topic. Let me ask you. No, I guess it's not off topic. I gotta know. Which is, yeah, because I think a lot of us probably have questions about God and the divine and stuff over time. And um, I was brought up by an ex-Orthodox Jew, my dad, who like left that when he was, I don't know, like in his early 20s, and then went off and lived in India and was a like assistant college professor, and followed a Muktananda around. And I remember him saying, it's weird. He had both perspectives. He had the phrase "God dwells within you as you," which I thought was really beautiful. Just really, really beautiful. Looking at that as like all the infinite manifestations of God in all the forms, and each being and their beautiful design of the intelligence of the divine, and which goes so beautifully hand in hand with your question of like, how do we use that to celebrate ourselves. And I do find that those are the most fulfilling prayers, that when it does feel like it's not just like an outside of me, like please, like, when it does feel like, yeah, like I'm part of it. I do find that that feels really like fulfilling, and the gratitude wells up, and I'm a part of it, and I'm, a part of this magical whole. And ah, we're a part of it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mhm,
Thank you.
mhm.
And what I'd like to do is acknowledge you. What would you like to be? Well, first, thank you for being here and going through the 7P's. And what would you like to be acknowledged for?
Hmm. Thank you, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
showing up as I'd love to be acknowledged for the loving space that I am. Mm.
Anything else?
For having the courage to be vulnerable and expressed and speak and be seen and yeah, and just share myself.
Got it. Anything else?
Could you remember anything after that? I think that's gonna be too many things, right? Like it'd be too
All
long of a
right.
list. It'll be like too tall in order,
Then I'll just, what I'll do is I'll take those two in and I'll listen for what else is
Mm-hmm.
there. So,
Mm.
Kyrie, I acknowledge you for your vulnerability, for putting yourself out here with me, like
Mm.
sharing yourself authentically and really listening for, I say, God's song coming through you, like you are the light shining into the world, making a difference.
Mm.
I'm so grateful for you.
Mm. Right back at you. Mm.
And it's through your gifts, you recognize your gift of song, you recognize your gift of giving, you recognize your desire for oneness, for
Mm.
connection to people, and creating this space where it's like there's one love, and that's what you're out to do in the world. So
Mm.
thank you.
Ah, thank you, Tom. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mm. Thank you for the love that you are. I was taking that in for a moment. Thank you. Mm. Thank you for the love that you are, Tom. Thank you for the divine, unique light you are and your desire for everyone to be heard, including yourself, and having the courage to show up and be yourself and contribute through your beautiful questions and yeah, really, really, really beautiful. Just your being, your your energy, your stand in the world, kindness, friendship. Mm.
I got it. Thank you.
Mhm. Mm. Here's to a world where everyone gets to feel their beingness on a daily basis.
Here's to a world where everybody gets to feel their beingness on a daily basis.
Joy of beingness.
I'm going to stop it here. I can't say anything better than that.
There we go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Now we're into bonus time. Thank you, Kyrie. I was sitting here
Thank
just
you.
admiring you, and like your picture behind you occurred like a stained glass window. And I was like,
Mm.
nice.
Nice. Oops.
Yeah, all's well.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Indeed.
awesome. So what so now I don't know your schedule. And what I was wondering is if we have time, this would be that third part where we go through and identify what you got out of it, what you think could go better, what would you change, or anything
Mm-hmm,
like
mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah. And you want to have this recorded for your kind of going back later to see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I don't hear everything. I hear a
Mm-hmm.
lot. I feel a lot. I don't hear everything.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's see here. So, hmm. So I do, I've probably got about 5 minutes right now.
Okay.
And
I'll be
so,
mindful of the time. So it's 11:08 where I am.
okay. And all righty, and it's 12:08 where I am, which is an angel number that shows up a lot in my life. It's very interesting.
And when
Um,
we get to 12:12, we'll sing happy birthday to me.
okay. Wait, hold on. Your
Yeah,
birthday?
12:12.
Oh, that's my parents' anniversary, December 12th.
Yeah.
Wow, that's interesting. That's my dad and my stepmom's anniversary.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Oh, so interesting. We will definitely meant to be friends and cross the paths. This is for sure. This is very much for sure and
Interwoven.
absolutely interwoven. And it was been a pleasure to speak with you today, Tom. And no doubt our paths are meant to interweave and contribute to one another. And yeah, this was really, really special. Here I thought I was going to be asking you questions. It's funny. And then it was an interesting, nice surprise to, realize it was me going to be answering the questions. And yeah, it was a pleasure to answer them. And I loved your P's, I love the words.
Yeah.
They're really, I think they're fantastic prompts and questions. And yeah, they're really, really excellent questions. Um,
So my intention, I apologize for interrupting.
all good, all good.
I just want to share this briefly. My
Yeah.
intention is to use these questions in a group exercise and do 7 weekly conversations,
Mm-hmm.
like starting November 1st through December 13th, and have 7 sessions. And people go through, and week by week, they answer these questions newly. Same
Mm.
question. You lived a week. What's new? You lived a week. What's different? And I assert what happens is people shift.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is part of my coaching program. And so that's why I'm eager to get going, and I'm grateful for your contribution here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you, Tom. And I love it. It's a great, great idea. It's a fantastic idea. For real. That's beautiful. I love the idea of asking again and seeing, yeah, what's shifted, what's realigned, or, you know, needs to come back into alignment. Or, yeah, yeah, I love it, and I love your joy with which that was really powerful. I just got like almost like an angel tap. Um,
It's
yeah.
11:11 where I am.
Oh, perfect, perfect, perfect. And it almost felt like an angel was like holding my shoulder at that moment and like so they're probably so pleased at this creation right now and this joyous connection and I was loving seeing your joy in the interview and like where certain things like lit you up like a kid and like um yeah I think that's a really beautiful, I think that's important to it, like to bring, there's a beauty in the levity and the lightness of the like, it's not like these like heavy, we're not like asking the questions like, are you doing this? You're right. It's like a totally different kind of like, the questions are almost like wired for joy. 1212, happy birthday. Yes, it's your birthday. It's your new birthday, and you're brand new in this moment. And you a podcast leader, and you a leader, and you a coach, And you went awesome, so awesome. And we're having too much fun. We can't stay on for just 5 minutes. I'll give myself a limit. All right. I absolutely got to get off by 12:22. That's
Okay.
9 minutes from now because we're having too much fun and we want to complete this. Um, and then um, and then it'll be basically exactly the timing we said, like an hour and 11 minutes, an hour and um, yeah,
Yeah.
like an hour and 11 minutes, an hour and 10 minutes since we got on. So, um, let's see what else. So that was what was great and awesome. And hmm, I love the space with which to like I love that yeah, because there's so many times when I'll just like go straight into like answering just because I feel like I need to answer right away. And like, I loved how you were like, breathe into that one, like the one that like the latter one took me a little while to like get what you meant. And it was really important that and great that you encouraged me to take that time to breathe into it rather than just me like trying to think up an answer, and like answering from my mind or whatever. Um, so yeah, I was thankful for that space there. And I think that's also not only would I feel that would be important for like a podcast a little bit to like have let people kind of tune into whatever, maybe a little bit less what's the word celebrated for a podcast because maybe like that's more of like a wordy um space. Maybe music can be added in there or something if there's too much of a pause or something to like keep
Oh,
the
okay.
engagement if there's not like a visual like this, for instance. But I think it might be nice with the visual to keep because I think there's something to, yeah, like the space that we open up together when we talk, which we've said many times, that it'd be nice to have that be like something people can tune into, even if we like added in a meditation, or it doesn't have to be long. It could be like the shortest little like, all right, on something something podcast, let's breathe. It can be like, the breathe, not hour, the breathe minute, the breathe whatever, tune in arrival breaths, or tuning in. And what else? Hmm.
Question for you.
Yeah, go for it.
One of the things I would like is like a testimonial.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what was your experience of this, and why would somebody want to do it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So if you had something like a one liner, two liner, three liner, where it could be like, that would be wonderful.
Mm-hmm. I could do that.
Like if you just did it right now, record it, and it would be,
Oh, okay. Even better than having to write it down later.
yeah,
Okay, let's
it's just
see.
creation in the moment.
All right, I like it. I like it. Yeah, it's perfect. And it's like, and part of what I was gonna say before was that like that those spaces would be great for the actual program itself, because inside of like asking your participants um, these questions, giving them space to discover it, there's a beingness, there's an energy that opens up, um, and perhaps there's even more space there than there would be on like a podcast that doesn't have a visual, for instance. And where there'd maybe be a lot of dead airspace or something, if we don't know that the people are breathing or tuning in. And um so yeah, let me know when you'd like to I don't know if you're just going to continuously record or if you want to stop and start. Let me think
I
into
can
it.
stop and start.
It's up to you. You don't have to stop and start. Let me because I just noticed myself trying to do it right, so I'm going to let go of that tension in the head. So why would someone want to do Tom Graham's program? So many reasons. First of all, Tom is awesome sauce. Tom rocks. And do you want me to say this in like third person or in a you form? You know what I mean?
Um, I I request you speak from your first person,
First person.
and like you use I, you can speak of me as Tom or
If you
third
as Tom,
person.
not as you, but as Tom.
Yeah,
Okay, got it. All righty. Sounds good. Sounds good for the clarity.
at least I think that would work.
Okay. And so I guess then the other question would be like, how am I speaking of it? Am I speaking of it as a program you're doing? Am I speaking of it as a podcast? Like, how would you like me to speak of it?
I have no clue.
Ah, all right, we can't get this right. We're just gonna do it. We're gonna
Yep.
see what happens, okay? Can't get it wrong, can't get it right. That's part of what I enjoyed about Tom's interview and his questions. And for real. I actually really did like that, like the tuning into, yeah, the discovery in the moment of what what the authentic answers were for me, and slowing down. And Tom was really good at giving space and holding a beautiful, relaxed, grounded space in which one can discover themselves inside of. And it's a beautiful, it's like the opposite of like maybe what I grew up with sometimes, which is like more of like a hurried, rushed, like hard to get a word in kind of thing. And it's the opposite here with Tom, where it's like there's a beautiful big space to speak into, to create with energy, thought, words, beingness, yeah, specifically beingness and words, speaking into the space, and discovering what's true for myself, what's true for oneself, and really beautiful questions, really beautiful questions Tom asks. And I love how he described that in his newest program. He's going to actually ask these questions weekly, it sounds like. So I just got to answer them once so far, and I loved it. And I could see also how it'd be really powerful revisiting these really beautiful questions that I feel are like leading they point to presence, they point to joy, they invite a sense of discovery and joy, and actually even like placing one's priorities towards joy. That was literally one of the questions, was like, do you have your priorities set up for, I think the words were like, success in creating joy. And I loved the emphasis on that. A big piece of success is creating joy, not the other stuff we might think it is. Like, but and it's like, oh, when I even said that, it was like my head got tense when I said like the other stuff we think, oh, blah, 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 blah. You know, no, thank you. Let's. I love this idea. The greater joy we have, the greater success we are. Oh, it feels good in the heart.
Thank you
Yay.
so much.
Thank you. Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
light, the teacher, the student in me acknowledges, sees, and loves the light, the teacher, the student in you.
Mm. Namaste. Thank you.
Namaste.
Mm, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Mm, mm, mm. Ah, thank you. Mm. Thank you so much.
I'll stop.